Purchasing. Normally when people listen to this word, especially when you work in sales, you think, oh, and I thought this podcast is going to be fun. Well, it will be, because today we are going to decrypt and tell you how to work, not only as a purchasing person, but also as a salesperson, how to work sustainably with and within purchasing departments. Our guest today is an international expert in purchasing with decades of experience in this area from direct practice, including General Motors and large corporations. Hello and welcome, Tanja Dammann-Götsch.
Thank you, Niels. Nice to be here.
Thank you very much for taking the time. Of course, one of the questions many people will have now, well, let's just put it in polite words, which for us as Germans often can be challenging, but often people say the purchasing department is actually the one. They show up, they say you have to deliver it quicker, you have to deliver it cheaper, and you have to deliver it, let's say, more reliably than the year before. So often when people pick up the phone, talk to purchasing professionals, they say it's only about bringing the price down. What is your opinion about this approach, and how do you think, how sustainable is a work delivered in that way?
Yes, well, being a purchasing person, you usually have to have a tough character, that's for sure. But pushing down the prices is not all about purchasing or procurement. It's a lot more. Because as a buyer, you are always responsible to how your own company will be recognized from the outside. So the way I'm acting in the market as a buyer, that's what the people see from the outside. And if I'm only pushing the people and say you have to reduce the prices and I do not care about anything else, I think this is a very old-fashioned way. Procurement in future is more than price. It's quality. You're responsible for quality. You're responsible for the new technology, and also the best service that you can get on the market. That's important for your own company and also for the benefit that your company will have at the end of the day. So it's more what I want to challenge is more like a cooperative relationship with the suppliers. So that when you're in a negotiation or when you talk with your salesperson, that you always learn the most interesting thing that is going on in the market. So it's a lot of cooperation and communication that is very important. Yes, at the end of the day, the buyer has to report the savings to the board or to the management. And so this is, of course, something that the buyer needs to have at the end of the day and make sure. But it's more like, that I, as a buyer, also, when I have a problem or I have an issue, I want to have the opportunity to talk to my salesperson, that this salesperson can solve my problem that I have in-house, technical problems, supply chain problems. I want to have also ideas from my salesperson. And this is something when I really start to listen and to also take over the things that the salesperson is telling me and bring them to my management as an innovation, for example.
So let's say someone takes this approach, and then, of course, many people will now think, that sounds nice, but I have to go to my senior executive, management level, senior leadership level, and they're going to sit in this boardroom meeting and say, look, this is all about KPIs, key performance indicators, where we have to reach certain goals. How do I deal with these kind of resistances that I might have a new idea how purchasing might be better in the midterm or long run, but suddenly I face management who says we need results now, and the result is the number?
Yes. So, of course, the KPIs is one very important thing that you have to deal with when you're a buyer, and especially in bigger companies. This is something they will always measure. Yeah. But I think that one step is to get all the administration work first out of the purchasing department, put them into e-procurement, put them into e-catalogs and things like that, so that you as a buyer, that you're a specialist in your commodity, that you're really a strategic buyer, that you can really, you have to be strong inside. As a buyer, you should not only be strong outside towards your salesperson or your suppliers, you also have to be strong inside. And this is something that I want, that the buyers are really taking over this role, because it's more than just reducing prices. It's reputation from your own company. It's the newest technology that you can get on the market, to be fast, to be smart. This is really something, a buyer is not only the person that sits at the laptop and puts all the data in. This should be automatically. The buyer has to be strong outside, of course, towards the supplier, but also inside. And this is something where I want to motivate really the buyers to be that strong inside.
So when we now get to this point where we say buyers need to be stronger, of course, now some people will think, I am in this industry for quite a while. I might be a bit blindsided by what I do wrong. So how can I become a better purchasing department? How can I become a better purchasing person? What, in your opinion, are the most common mistakes people do when they stick to, let's say, traditional purchasing methods?
Well, do not only work from your desk. Yeah, I mean, at the moment it's not that easy to travel. We all know that, but we have the online possibilities. So you need to go out of your office. I mean, you have to look what you are buying. Some people I really want to push to go to the production lines and have a look how the product that they buy, how this is produced, and take the opportunity to talk to the people that are really building the parts. You will learn so many things about this part. You will learn a lot of things where you can reduce money. I mean, reducing costs, I think this is a very interesting thing that you always should do as a buyer. That does not mean that you always push your supplier, but you discuss with your supplier, you discuss with technology people, with quality people, how you can reduce costs. Either they are under production, either they are in the supply chain, transportation, whatever. So it's not only an information that you receive in your laptop that you have to buy something. It's a lot more, and it's very interesting. And you need to know your commodity in order to be a specialist. And I think this is really great to be a buyer, to be honest. I mean, I'm working as a buyer for so many years and I still love it. But it's, not only the price, it's technology, it's service, and all these kind of things, and that makes it interesting. And be open to your supplier if you have an issue, if you have a problem. Tell them this is a problem that we all.
Tanja, I'm not hearing you anymore. Hello? Tanja? I don't have audio of you anymore. Hello?
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so that's what I mean with technology, Here
we are.
You need to have good technology, no matter what you do.
Excellent.
Okay, hope you can hear me now, Niels.
Yes, absolutely. Perfect. I can. Good. So let's get to 2 practice examples, which I received from people who work in the industry of purchasing. And one example, which I'm going to quote word by word, someone arrives at one of their most important clients, and the leading purchasing person says, and I apologize in advance, these are not my words, their words. What they got presented was that someone said, you have to bring us everything you've done before for 3% cheaper every year over the next 5 years. We don't care that you might say, oh, China is cheaper because we don't care about this human rights thing, whatever it is. We care about the money. That's why we're in business. How do you deal with these kind of examples where they only tell you business will only rely on if you are able to make everything cheaper?
Yes. Well, this is really a common strategy, I would say, especially in the automotive industry. I don't know where your customer's from, but it's something typical that they ask you to reduce the prices over a certain time. In this case, 5 years, 3%. Actually, the idea was to say, okay, when you are producing your part over a time frame like 5 years, you learn again and again how you can produce better, how you can reduce costs and so on. And this is something that we want to have. So I think the strategy, when you're using it in like that, is fine. It's something typical. I mean, our suppliers are not stupid. Some of them put them on their initial price already. So I don't know if it's still up to time to do it in that way. But like this guy was talking about China, for example, this is something that I mean with the reputation of the company. I mean, what picture does this person give to his own company when he says something like that? So I think it's really poor to act in like this. But sometimes when people act in that way, and we know that because we have a lot to do with different people, it would be interesting to find out that this salesperson really tries to find out what the real issue is behind that. What is the real issue? What does this person, what argumentations does this person really need to go back to his management? What could help? I mean, this is only something that you can try to build up a relationship, to build up trust or something like that. Some buyers are maybe open, some aren't, but it's really worth to find out, and it's really interesting what is really the matter behind all this. What people are saying there.
Excellent. So, and now we are going to switch on the other side of the table, because that's the second example from practice I have here. People who book, people like us, people like you, they book trainers, speakers, coaches, consultants. And especially when they have to go through the process, which normally means you have the HR department involved, you have the line managers involved, you have the purchasing department involved, of course, they are very unsure how should they handle the purchasing process when they approach us. Should they say, that's our budget, what can we do with it? Or should they say, we just give you a price and you have to stick to it and then we wait for the reaction? Or shall we just ask for a proposal and then pretend to be very upset about it and then bring the price down for whatever it takes? What in your opinion is the best approach towards this?
Yes. Well, actually, I see that some companies start to put this kind of negotiations to an auction, and I really do not like to see that, because what facilitators, teachers, trainers, coaches are doing is, I mean, this is really people business. So you cannot put us into an auction like we would be a screw or something like that. Yeah. So this is really something that I don't like. When I go to the negotiations, I often have to negotiate with the buyer, and the buyers are the people that I train in negotiation. So I already said in past, I do not negotiate with you because that would be mean, because I know more about negotiation. That's why you need me. So, some people can really laugh about that. It's to be honest, it's more easy to talk with the people from the HR, from the academies. But when you have everything fixed with those guys and the package goes to the buyer, then the buyer might think, well, they have done everything with this HR people. Nobody was asking me. And then you have, then the person might react a little bit, what I mean. So it's smart to really to clarify if it's really agreed with the purchasing people, because they have their targets, so that you are aware upfront. I don't know. I would not reduce my prices, my personal prices, to a minimum, because it's a lot of knowledge. It's a lot of people business, and I do not want that we give up our prices there. So this is something we all need to be aware of, because if you find someone that puts a very low price in this auction, what do you get at the end? So no, I don't like this idea.
Yeah. Also, when you buy knowledge services via an auction, you most likely only get the desperate ones who are just in desperate need of money, and these, of course, are not the best ones, but just someone who needs money from you.
Yes.
Excellent. This is excellent advice. Thank you very much. Of course, I'm going to put your contact data in the show notes here. So as soon as people have any kind of additional aspects which they like to talk about, or any kind of aspects which they said that should be covered, they of course can contact you directly. And now at the end of this interview, I can only say one thing. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.